now hear from Jamie Court, who is the president of Consumer Watchdog.
Yeah, while you're pulling my slides up, I'll just say I've been doing this for a while. I was on the 1999 Attorney General Bill Lockyer's task force representing the Assembly. Antonio Villaraigosa appointed me to represent the Assembly, and I've learned a bit about this industry. When the slides come up, we'll just put the first graph up, please. One of the things I've learned is it's the same old story. When refineries go down, prices go up. Profits go up. And this first slide, I think, tells this story. I'm going to challenge the WISPA representative. Said, you can't figure this out in a 3-minute presentation. Well, I'm going to try to make this happen. Make it simple. This is the gross refining margin over the last year and a half. These were mandated numbers under SB 1322, a Ben Allen bill that you all passed in 2022, to force the refiners to tell us how much they're making on profit on every gallon of gasoline in the state. This is California gasoline. And you'll see there are two high points there, one in September of 2023 and one in April of 2024. That's when we know that their profits, their gross refining margin was well over what it should be, over $1.40, $1.20, well over $1. A gross refining margin is a measure reported by the refiners, and it takes out the cost of crude, environmental fees, and taxes. So it is the purest measure of profitability. The only thing that's in there that is a cost that comes out is the operational cost of the refinery, and we know what those are because we can look at the SEC filings. Those range from 17 to 29 cents. So we're talking about making $1.40. That is a healthy profit on a gallon of gas. Next slide, please. So if you look at the next slide, I've overlaid with those peaks the days of supply. And you'll see that on the first peak, we were down to 13 days of supply. And on the next peak, we were under 15 days of supply. The typical days of supply in California is 15 to 18 days. And when we drop below, we see a commensurate profit taking from the industry, which is really extreme. Next slide, please. The next slide shows you what the gas prices were at those peaks. Over $5 at both of those peaks. And that was a delta of more than $1.50 with U.S. gas prices. We should have a delta of 70 to 80 cents with U.S. gas prices because that's the cost of our added taxes and environmental fees. Anything over that is profit taking. When we're at $1.50 or more, it's really a problem. So we see in this slide how there's an intersection of inventory dipping under 15 days, the price spiking, the profit spiking. It's all right there, and it's all happened in the last year and a half, and it's happening again right now in Northern California. Next slide, please. This is a slide that shows that the oil refiners are not using their inventories. They're at 55% capacity in the western region. 55% capacity of storage right now. There's a lot of room for growth. We know that they keep 20 days and upward of inventory, and that most of the year, that's what it's at, between 15 and 20 days. They have the capacity to do it because they're doing it. They do not need to build new storage to keep 20 days of inventory. So I think it's a bit of a red herring to say they're going to need to build inventory when what I believe the Energy Commission's getting at is asking for a minimum inventory of 20 days or 21 days when that is what they keep right now. By the way, on the if we can go back one slide, I forgot to mention that uptick right there between July and September in 2023 cost consumers $2.1 billion. That's what the DPMO just said earlier. Consumers paid $2.1 billion more than they should have for that uptick between July and September. So you're talking about the cost of storage, which if you go to Australia is a fraction of a penny to keep the extra storage to save consumers $2.1 billion. It's a good trade. Go forward to the next slide, please. The next slide shows that this has been done elsewhere. In Australia, they keep 24 days of supply on hand. The UK does it. It's done all across the world. Korea. And the point is that if we can maintain an absolute resupply commitment from the oil refiners, that will keep the spot market from going up. If the oil refiners don't have to buy on the spot market, our gas prices will not spike. And it's exactly what happens in electricity and natural gas. When you're in an electricity crisis, you want to have a supply so you're not buying on the spot market, that real-time spot market, because those prices are really high. So we have the electric utilities, which are regulated utilities, buy long-term contracts so you don't have to buy on the spot market and pass those consumers' costs. Same thing with natural gas. We had a price spike in Southern California a couple of years ago because SoCal Gas bought on the spot market because they ran out of their inventories. Aliso Canyon wasn't available. They hadn't planned. All this is about is planning. Planning resupply. And I'll tell you this, I think you can trust the Energy Commission to get this right because I've been pushing them really hard to get a price gouging penalty as quick as possible, and they have been unbelievably deliberative about it. I'd say too deliberative. Because if we had it, we could penalize the companies for the spike we're facing now. They are very thoughtful. They will not endanger worker safety, and I don't think they can endanger worker safety under the current laws because that comes first. They will not force upon refiners new supply capacity if existing capacity exists, and they will look at the costs, which I guarantee you are going to mitigate in favor of maintaining existing storage capacity. In any case, I hope I've made some sense of this for you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr.